The last time on Pete and his bus. This time on Pete and his bus, I drive a brown car and I also discover I made a massive mistake.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Compo, the life of a two-stroke motorbike. Today I want to talk about being a motorbike.
Well, listen man, if you want to do your own show, you got to do it somewhere else.
I hate you!
Do any of you actually want to listen to this motorbike?
Hey Pete, piss off! I go to sleep.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pete and his bus. Now, this time I promise I'm not going to talk about outdoor cinemas, I'm not going to talk about fire engines, however much I want to. I am simply going to crack on with our sad bus that's been sat about for 2 months having nothing done to it whatsoever. The bus is fine, but the 2 months have meant that virtually all of the masking tape and paper that I put on the bus has fallen off. It's a combination of the hot weather and the masking tape being particularly cheap, but sadly the 3-4-ish days that I spent masking it, I'm going to have to repeat. But there is one thing that I've been umming and ahhing whether to tackle or not. And because I'm at this stage now, I've decided to tackle it. As soon as I finished painting our bus in the wonderful shade of mid-red, I suddenly noticed all these big soft dents in the curvature of the roof. Now, I had a similar thing with 2355 and I chose to leave them, but the problem is they've been annoying me ever since, so this time around I'm gonna sort them. I could remove all these interior panels and push the dents out from the inside, but I doubt that I'll be able to get those dents to be completely flush, simply because I'm not a panel beater. Now, if I can't get them completely flush, that means I'd have to use filler to make them so. And if I'm going to use filler, I might as well just use filler and leave all this paneling on the inside. So the plan has been decided. And you all know what it means when I use filler. Yes, that's right. It means I get to do my favorite thing in the whole world, and that is sanding. The only thing which I didn't foresee is that some of these dents are actually quite deep. So before I knew it, I was all out of materials. It might seem that all I'm ever doing is sanding a bus, and actually to me, it does feel like that. But this month, I actually also did something else. I was invited to go to the Goodwood Motor Racing Circuit for a private vintage Bentley racing event. Now, I thought this opportunity is too good not to bring my camera, so this is what I saw.
If you're going to go to an event like this, you might as well arrive in style. And luckily, I was able to catch a lift to the circuit in a proper car.
Now, upon my arrival, I was greeted with what is probably the most beautiful racing grid I have ever seen. Anybody who thinks that a vintage Bentley is not a fast thing, you are very much mistaken. The speed impressed me ever so much. But this was an endurance race held over 2 days, and of course no one expects any of these cars to run for 2 8-hour sessions without any problems. And problems there were. I'd like to thank all the parties involved for making it possible for me to be there and do a bit of filming. I thoroughly enjoyed a day with proper cars and hardcore competitive racing. Now, back to that bloody bus.
However much it pains me, I always knew I was going to have to remask this whole top section to move forward. But the two things I'm doing differently are, one, I'm using proper masking tape, and two, I'm cleaning and prepping the windows properly before I stick it on there. Now some of these little corners are tricky, but the new tape is making light work of it all.
can tell, our bus is virtually ready for its next coat of mid-red. Now, earlier on I said I wasn't going to talk about outdoor cinemas or fire engines, and guess what? I was completely lying. For those of you that watched the last episode of Pete and His Bus, you will know that I bought an old fire engine and I attempted to drive it home. Now, this journey was cut very short by the fact that the fire engine stopped working. Now, at the time, I was convinced from the symptoms that the fire engine was giving me that I'd blown a head gasket. This week, Lord Barrington and I have been having a look at the fire engine to see if we can diagnose its actual problem. Now, the first thing we did was actually just strap a battery to it and press the starter button to see if it would fire. And all it did was churn and churn and churn and nothing.
After checking the oil and water for contamination,
Lord Barrington then started asking me questions in the line of how much fuel was there in there when you set off. I said, well, the previous owner told me there was some fuel, but didn't actually tell me how much. I added another 10 litres myself upon arrival, and the needle moved up, so I presumed that the fuel gauge was working. He then asked me, how long were you driving for? I said, well, we were driving for about 45 to 50 minutes. And then he asked me if I knew what the fuel consumption was like on a fire engine of this kind. Now, you can see which way this conversation is going. And it wasn't until I put my hand to the actual fuel tank and knocked it to find it sounding very, very hollow. Uh-oh.
so the next day I decided to try and start her again, but this time I was going to double check all the vital fluids. And I discovered that the coolant, albeit slightly low, was actually okay. I checked the oil, and even that, albeit dirty, was okay. I also chucked in a fresh load of fuel, and it was slowly dawning on me that I might have made a very big mistake.
Oh, we got lights. Ignition on.
Once the engine was running and I had a good look around it, all I could see was a little bit of water coming from the overflow of the radiator where I had overfilled it. So it looks like I had simply run it out of fuel.
idiot! There you have it. Thank you so much for watching this idiot get it completely wrong. Like I said, bittersweet day out. I'm glad I have a fire engine that works. Not so happy about the money I spent recovering it, but stick with me. I will be producing more content soon. Life's very, very busy at the moment, but the bus is going to be finished and I'm going to see it through all the way to the end. So remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, check out my Facebook page. There's a lot of extra stuff on there that won't appear on here. And yeah, I hope to see you all soon. Thanks again. I'll see you next time on Pete and his bus. Your car's broken down. What, it just stopped going? Oh, that's probably the head gasket? Dickhead!